Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back with the CBD Accelerator with a special interview with Stefan Mckellar of Nanocraft, one of my favorite CBD brands by far. Thanks, Stefan, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks. That's nice to say.
Oh yeah,
We work with a lot of them.
oh, I love your brand, man. Like just the aesthetics and what you guys stand for. Like I'm from San Diego as well as you are, and I see you out there helping the community and just doing all kinds of things. So I'm really happy to see a local San Diego brand out there doing good in the community.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we're gonna go, into your background and talk about Nanocraft and some of the things that you've done to build an amazing company. And but yeah, if you don't mind, what got you into CBD and what's your background like before you got into CBD?
So I've always been an entrepreneur ever since I was a kid. I mean, when I was in high school, I had like a Christmas light hanging business, had surf camps. I've always kind of had it ingrained in my head with, from my grandpa, who I kind of grew up with, that kind of always work for yourself and focus on being an entrepreneur. I'd come from LA. I lived in Hollywood for a bit. I actually went to school for fashion design, which is completely off topic and random. I started a luxury luggage company. So I made luxury bags and luggage, and I was doing the whole Hollywood thing with celebrities. And I just kind of just, I think everyone, at least for myself, I have a mission in my life and a purpose. And I feel like it was kind of a little bit off heel just by living up there. And I just didn't feel great living in Hollywood. So I moved back down to San Diego, and I really tried to figure out what it is I wanted to do. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of you who are listening have had struggles with, what am I going to do in this world? What am I going to do in life? And so the main things that were important for me were really establishing my values and my purpose. That being, I really enjoy helping and supporting others. I enjoy giving back, and I enjoy adding value to people's lives. And so with that in mind, I obviously saw the opportunity in the cannabis space. For me, I come from a relatively conservative family, so jumping straight into cannabis was a little bit difficult to kind of tie my name to that. Just for me at the time, is long story. That's another story in itself. But my mom has epilepsy as well, and I saw firsthand how kind of CBD helped that. And I just love what CBD did and represented. Kind of checked off all the boxes the way we established our brand. Now, we came up with the concept of, or at least talking about it in 2015, which, as I'm not sure if as you guys know, that was a long time ago for the CBD space, and as far as how far it's evolved.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to kind of get things done. Nowadays, you're a click away from, being able to access manufacturers, oils, etc.
Merchant accounts.
Merchant accounts. Back then, it was very difficult, and it's still difficult. It's still not easy, which I know and I know but back then, like trying to find and manufacture products. I mean, we spent 2 years manufacturing products, trying to manufacture product with people that are like, yeah, we think we want to get into this space. We're not real sure, and we wasted a lot of time and effort. But also, that's just what life's about: learning lessons on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I try to kind of position ourselves on things that I love and things that I enjoy. Once again, reverting back to the purpose and the mission. I love living a healthy lifestyle. I work out. I wake up in the morning. I wake up really early. I'm pretty structured when it comes to that. And I thought the path of least resistance for what we wanted to do in the CBD space was action sports. We always wanted to kind of had the vision to have be the Nike of CBD. And at the time, there weren't really any other brands that were focused on that. Yeah. And so, we started reaching out to some surfers and in my direct relationships with people. And we thought that, surfers were, a lot more open, specifically to, to smoking or to cannabis, to THC, to, into CBD as well. So we found that establishing ourselves as a brand started off really in the action sports industry. That was kind of like the first industry that opened up to the space, whereas other industries were still very much closed to it.
Yeah.
And, for me, I feel like the one word that comes to mind is leverage. And what I mean by that is, so for example, we sold our stuff in San Diego, which is one of the top surf shops in the country. We sold our stuff in different stores, but how do you sell someone on a store? And especially back then when CBD, they still think it's weed. And so, leveraging our athletes and leveraging the position we put ourselves in was able to help us basically establish our brand was able to leverage us in getting to specific places. So for example, I'll just use San Diego as an example. We go there, we sponsored Mason Ho, one of the top surfers in the world. Like, oh, you have Mason. And so it kind of at least starts the introduction, not to mention the branding, the way we come off, the whole brand came off. We try to come up as professional as possible because, back then it's changing people's minds. It's educating them. And that was the biggest obstacle to overcome.
Oh, dude, even to this day, you have some of the best branding and packaging in the industry. Like your packaging is beautiful and your brand pops. Like when I go into a store, if I see Nanocraft, it just pops off the shelf. And I remember the first time I met you, I think you told me you spent like 8 months working on the packaging, just getting it right, or so. It was a long time. I forgot what exactly it was, but I remember you spent a lot of time getting the packaging down. And how influential would you say that has been for your brand, just really putting a lot of thought into the actual aesthetics of the packaging?
Well, I mean, everything matters. Every single thing in life matters. If you look at a relationship, you can't be with someone who doesn't, at least check off most of the things you want to be with. And that's the same way I look at a brand. And as mentioned, I went to school for design, and branding to me is so important. And I think a lot of people kind of wanted to catapult themselves in the industry. They saw the market, but they weren't necessarily passionate about the brands. At least that's what I've kind of seen. And I think when you have something that represents who you are and what you do, for me, it's extremely important for it to be reflected in every single level. From packaging, from when you receive the product to the actual product itself. So it was always a mission of mine to deliver the best possible products we possibly could, and that means evolving lots of times. Well, it's not one product. Like we've changed our products multiple times. We changed our oil as oil evolved as well, and the accessibility to good oils. So branding to me represents who I am and what I represent. And same with my partner, who's obviously a big part of the company. And it allows especially the kind of limelight that we were in and what we did, working with, sports organizations, professional athletes, like you've got to have passion behind your project and it's really easy to persuade someone because you don't really need to persuade them. They see your passion, they see the product that you're delivering, they understand that it's quality, and they see that, to try and bring a product out that isn't all those things is already difficult, and not to mention just the pushback on the CBD industry alone. Like that's difficult. So it's like, what I remember going into these meetings, especially when I'm, dealing with athletes or sports organizations or stores or whatever it is, it's always kind of like tackle all the no's. Like what are going to be the doubts and the risks, and what are going to be their no's? And that's kind of where you start. And I always knew that branding wasn't going to be a no. It was never going to be that stopped me from getting somewhere, or the quality of the products.
I love that, man. That's huge. And I like that too. That's great advice. Like knowing what the objections are going to be ahead of time, and you bring them up to the person and cut them off at the pass. Like don't let them bring up the no, you bring up the objection first and just address it, and I love that. And like as far as when you launched, like in the first year or so, what was the most successful strategy to get traffic? Because that's what, I work with a lot of startup brands in the industry, and everybody wants to know, how do I get traffic to my site? And so like, what was the most effective way for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I still want to know that too. It's evolved. So, when we first started, like, our first year in business, I think we did 1.65 million in our first year in business. And however, in 2019, that was to me the biggest year in CBD, as far as just people learning about it and people being open to it and kind of just like exploring. So, we did a lot of different things. Like we worked with the tribes specifically. We worked with Uncrate, and we worked with, a lot of different publications that already had an established reputation. Rather than trying to directly advertise ourselves, and trying to convince someone, it's way easier coming from an already established source that's basically presenting your company in front of somebody else. So in 2019, that was our biggest, not to mention, you could say social media. Social media is always a toss-up. We've worked with athletes, we've worked with influencers, everyone's an influencer. And it's surprising that sometimes, the people that you would least expect it bring the most revenue in. So
yeah.
I think it was a combination of everything. And additionally, like I'm involved in a lot of business organizations here in San Diego. And I think just being really involved in your community and figuring out how to add value into other people's lives and figuring out and talking to people that have already been there. There's a lot of business practices that are applicable in any industry. And a lot of times, for me, what's really helped is being involved in different business organizations. There may be something that you haven't thought about, et cetera. CBD is a little bit different, obviously, but I think the key to the whole business, and take in mind, like we've had massive struggles, like ups and downs. I'm sure like, just like everyone, the key to the CBD business for me is just being able to pivot quickly and being able to be creative. Like pivot is the biggest, one day we're selling, next day, what the hell's going on? Our freaking merchant account gets shut down. And just so you know, we've gone through maybe 30. We've had our account shut down so many times. And you remember back in the day when everyone kind of jumped over to US Bank Elevon and all of a sudden there was no solution.
That was a disaster.
It was disastrous. And it's like, bank accounts, et cetera. And until this day, it's still a challenge,
That's why anybody watching, I always tell my clients have 2 business bank accounts and 2 merchant accounts at all times. Like, cause you never know when they might shut you down, and then you'll have your backups ready to go.
Absolutely. That's great advice. I think we have 4 merchant accounts and we have 3 bank accounts, so
yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. And so like, that's another great point that you made, is like having that multi-channel approach. Like one thing might not work if you just do it by itself, but if you add on other things to it, like the spokes in the wheel, then it starts to pick up momentum. So that's huge for sure. And and then you said you're part of business organizations. Are you in the entrepreneurs organization?
Yeah, I'm in EO. I was in the STSI for a bit, and I always have to make a mention of COVID. Like there was a big pivot in our model and kind of everything when COVID hit. So, we're still trying to figure things out on direction. But yeah, I'm part of EO currently. I was part of STSI, which is San Diego Sports Innovator Group.
Oh, cool.
And which is a great group and very, very action sports heavy. I really enjoyed being a part of that group. So
that's huge. People like that, building your network is massive. And I think a lot of brands, they get stuck, they're in their house working on their brand and they don't get out there into the public. And we always say, like, when we consult our brands, like what you do offline is just as important as what you do online. And so you got to get out there to events, make connections, get into different entrepreneur organizations that are out there. And I know like another couple very successful San Diego cannabis entrepreneurs that are in the EO organization. So obviously they're making bonds with, and then not only cannabis people, but guys that are in other industries, and you learn from them as well, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the idea is to do everything you possibly can, within reason. I think especially when running an online business, it becomes, I personally I probably unsubscribe to like 15 emails a day. Like, I don't know where the heck everyone gets I get so many damn emails. And that's the one thing about being online is, I'm sure a lot of you or anybody has reached out to a lot of different people. Like, hey, we want to work with you, whether it's an affiliate site, whether it's a blog, et cetera. Like, what makes you different? Well, honestly, who knows? Not really anything. Sometimes it takes that direct relationship in person to be able to build that connection. And I'm a huge advocate of that. And that's what I'm more passionate about, is building those relationships. Because sometimes online, it's just everyone gets bombarded, especially in this industry. Everyone gets sold on all this stuff, and it just becomes sometimes overwhelming. I mean, I think I have like 35,000 emails that are unread, and it's not because it's just there's so much spam that each day I'm just like, oh my God. So
dude, I'm constantly unsubscribing for sure. I'm like,
oh yeah. So I think the key, being persistent, in addition, like foreseeing where people and opportunities are going to arise. Like, if someone's going to be somewhere, and maybe it's not even related to the CBD industry, maybe it's just, hey, let's say Healthline is doing an event, or you just never know. So I think thinking outside the box and just putting yourself in the space of those that you want to get in touch with is probably one of the things that I've learned.
For sure. And I always like to say, when everybody zigs, I like to zag. So I try to be in places where there's not a million other CBD companies talking the same old shit that I'm talking, And so
yeah,
key is just putting yourself in front of the right people in different environments and learning from that. And And like you said too, this industry goes faster than the cannabis industry in general goes faster than any other industry. It's a constant moving target and you constantly have to pivot, and that's just a fact. And one of my clients, he has a CBD brand that's really successful. He launched a hair dye company and sold it to L'Oreal for $180 million within 18 months of launching it. And I asked him, like, what's your advice like on that? And he was like, you got to go so fast your mistakes don't catch up to you. And I was like, that's great advice, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is great advice. You know, it's not easy. You know, and I think the most valuable thing is just the lessons that you learn along the road. You know, and maybe it's CBD for somebody, maybe it's not. Who knows? But ultimately, there's lessons to be learned. You know, especially when doing business and what works and what doesn't. And there's been a lot of mistakes. I shouldn't say mistakes, learning lessons on our side, on money spent on, you know, there's one time we got accepted into Kroger's, and like we probably invested a couple $100,000 in inventory, and then COVID happened. And then that whole deal just got lost. We're like, fuck.
Now we got to move this
like,
inventory online.
well, yeah, but you know, there was specific for them, and there's been a couple of those deals, and yeah, I mean, I think having excessive amounts of inventory is never a good idea in this industry. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I used to keep my inventory as just as little as I could have in my warehouse at all times. And then, but it gets tough when you're dealing with manufacturers and they're late and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, it took a while to find that system that works, and that's kind of like where I trust the process on most levels.
That's awesome. And like
Yeah.
in your first year, like, was there anything that you guys tried that just completely didn't work for you, like as far as marketing or any other tactics?
Yeah, I mean, there was almost a time where we kept doing things. And I remember, you know, we were shipping boxes out of my partner's house every day. We set up an office there, and I remember it was like we started gaining a little traction. Like, wow, this is so cool! Our first sale, this is amazing. And we started doing things like I said, like the Chive and a couple of other platforms that we utilize, and things were working. We were getting revenue. We saw an ROI, and then all of a sudden we did signed this deal with this other publication for like $100,000, and it was kind of like it was a big deal. But at the point, everything seemed to work, and it was kind of that same mentality earlier, like, oh my God, this is the time to really capitalize as much as possible on retaining customers and emails. And you know, we ended up signing this like $100,000 contract over like 6 months, and literally it was the worst thing ever. They didn't drive any traffic, like all their KPIs didn't hit. It was, they were able to justify what they said, but it just didn't help at all. So that was probably the first big, like, you know, we did. Another thing too is like, you know, SEO is tough. SEO is a big one. You know,
Tell me about it.
it's very tricky when you don't know what Google's going to do. And you look at companies like, you know, Pure Canada, which I'm sure you've done talks about. Like, there's been techniques to get companies up and that have been effective, black hatted techniques that people come in and they just absolutely crush. And all of a sudden they go, you know, but by that time they've already crushed enough. But, you know, it took a long time for Google to actually establish what CBD is and who's who. And even today, it's just, so we've spent a lot of money on SEO, and, you know, we've seen not that much success. You know, it's just crazy how you spend so much time and money on certain things. And it's just, you know, that's another one where it's just like, ugh, I know it's important, but I'm very reluctant to spend significant amounts of money on that.
Me too, man. Like affiliates and SEO are the two areas where I'm very reluctant. Usually, like I lost 30 grand on SEO when I had my brand Hemp Logica and got zero results. And this guy was supposed to be the best in the world and all this, and no results at all.
It's almost unfortunate because, you know, you learn from your past mistakes, but at the same time, it's almost like when I have conversations with people that may be able to add value, you're like, oh yeah, whatever. Like it's just I've just been through so much. It's like almost like you're scarred to just not listen. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you know,
Yeah, tell me
but
about it.
you know, I think for me the best thing to do is look to see who's doing what, and you know, there's when it comes to online metrics, it's while it may not be 100% accurate, it's pretty obvious who's doing what and what they're doing, you know, because you can actually look at it. And so that being said, I mean, that's a good metric. Like there's certain companies that I know of now that have kind of catapulted up to some of the top brands that I've never even heard of within the last 6 months on the SEO side. And you're like, well, And that's another thing that doesn't make sense. How are they going to, how are they catapult like that without, their new brands? Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. So it's just,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like Greek to me, man, the SEO world. I met one guy, he was spending $40,000 a month just to rank for CBD gummies, and that was it, just that one term. And yeah, and his brand was shitty. It looked terrible, honestly, but he was ranking pretty high. He was number 2, I think. And so yeah, just crazy expensive. And but like, if you could rewind and like say you're launching Nanocraft today or a new brand in the CBD world with everything that you know now, like what are some things that you would have done different?
Well, I definitely would have probably sold in 2019 after one. That's exactly what I would have done. If I were to start a CBD brand now, I mean, like going back to what I said before, like for me, like if I were to, when I create a brand, like I see so many brands that like just pop out of nowhere, and they're just like, they look like every other brand. It's just like, come on, it's just, there's no difference. And,
Yeah.
like I think people get a little, like they think it's just easy, quick money, which is not. You actually have to put effort and time. And if you look at the top brands in the country, in the world, like, Charlotte's Web and these guys, and they only capture what, 3-4% of the market share, which
Dude,
is crazy.
I know Charlotte's Web actually, I think a year or so ago, they had 16% of the market share, but now it's like, yeah, 3%.
Yeah.
It's
So
just,
that
there's
just
so
shows
many brands.
so many brands. So I think get specific with a niche and follow
Yeah.
that niche. And really, you just got to bring the best you can in every level. Like you just can't be mediocre somewhere. I think, and find the path of least resistance. I mean, what I mean by that, I knew mine was through athletes. I had connections. I go through my people that I know I can trust, and I know I can rely on, that can help me. If that looks like, retail, if that looks like, I don't know what that looks like for whoever it is. If it looks like the pet space, if it looks like, try find a niche. I mean, I know you talk about it a lot. It's like, I think it's really important to do that. And then last thing is, I think subscription is such a big part of our business. And people that take our products historically, like I think our LTV on our subscription is about $1,000.
Nice.
So people stay on. They like, we add value to them. I think keeping subscription and having a solid email list is one of the most important things. Especially right now, because as you know, traffic's hard to get, and it's competitive, and the whole industry has just been interesting lately. But I think, once you have a customer, take care of them, and figure out how to add value,
Yeah.
and get to know them. I think that would probably be my advice. And yeah.
I love that, man. I was
Yeah.
just at the Geek Out event in San Diego for 4 days last week. Have you heard of Geek Out?
I believe maybe I saw it on your thing. I don't, maybe, I don't know.
So yeah, my partner Nick Shackelford runs it. He owns Structured Social, and they're a huge ad agency. But they had some major ecom brands at this event, and all 4 of the brands on this panel said the same thing. They call their customers. Like one guy says, I call my customers 1 to 2 hours a week. And especially if they give a bad review, they'll call them and find out why and fix it, but even good, customers that order a lot, they definitely will call them and, see, why do you like the products? What makes you purchase from us? And are you looking, what other products are you looking for? Just really communicating to the customers and not just taking it for granted, and really treating them like human beings.
Yeah. It's absolutely, because especially nowadays, you kind of got to fight and claw for obtaining customers. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then if you treat them like that, they're never going to go anywhere else. If you really respect them and treat them like a real human being, they won't go anywhere else. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I think wrapping a brand around a cause is very important too. Like, and you guys have done that. Like I've noticed, I forgot the organizations you work with, but I see you helping children in San Diego, like that are underprivileged, and I see you actually, it's not just that you're giving money, you're actually out there in the community. Like, you can explain better than I can, but I've seen pictures of you like actually with the kids doing different events and things like that, it really makes me respect what you guys do.
Yeah. I mean, that's, once again, going back to the, my purpose and values, and giving back is definitely one of them, and it's unfortunate that COVID happened, because there's just been so many damn restrictions when it comes to working with children now. And like, So, I mean, even now we have 200 backpacks that we're going to fill with like school supplies, sanitizers and stuff like that. We've had to postpone for a long time for that reason. But yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, is like actually seeing the difference and being able to give back. And man, it's been a roller coaster ride. But yeah, I mean, I think giving back is very important, because I think the more you give, the more you receive. And it also, you know, sometimes when you have tough days, which I definitely do, you know, it's like, it kind of makes you feel a little bit better about what you do, you know.
For sure.
And you know, I'm not perfect, you know, I have my days where I'm up and down. It's like, but you know, all you can do is do your best and just learn from everything that happens.
Yeah, and I love how I can tell, like in our talk today, you're focused on the audience and the service. Like I haven't heard you talk about like our extraction method is this and this, like, and 95% of the CBD brands I talk to, they're so focused on the product, they forget about the audience and the message part. And I'm like, you don't have a brand. Like you're just, you're selling products. Like you're not a brand.
Yeah, because most people don't even know what that means anyway. Like you could sit there and explain it. I mean, in the process, and ultimately, like, yeah, there's certain people that look at it, maybe like we get an email here and there about certain things, and but overall, it's like they want to be associated with someone that's trustable, someone that makes good products, and someone that's, I would say, cool, someone that they want to stand behind. I think that's the difference between having a brand and just a regular business. Is a brand, you're able to capitalize and secure customers through what you do, not just what you have.
Yeah, that's why we always say like CBD is just an ingredient. You're not a CBD brand. You're helping people solve problems with their lives, and you're more than a CBD brand. That's just an ingredient that you sell, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's like, unfortunately, a lot of brands don't understand that. And the, you know, the branding is complicated, but it's simple at the same time. But, and I hope it sinks in the more I do these talks with people, because I just hate seeing people, they're passionate about cannabis and they want to help people, but they're so focused on the products and they think they can sell CBD to everybody. But you're not CBDMD, you're not Medterra, you don't have millions of dollars to be a generalized brand. You know, it's like you have to niche it down, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
And so, any new projects that you're working on, or anything that like exciting you these days besides Nanocraft, or any new products that you guys are working on that you could tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of get a general idea, like kind of like I was just going to make a mention of what you just said about how some people are passionate about the extraction, all that stuff. Like do what makes you happy and what you're good at. You know, that I'm good at branding, I'm good at meeting people, I'm good, like that to me is what I love to do. I don't necessarily like sitting behind a computer. My partner does a lot of that. I do sit behind a computer because it's necessary, but you know, if you find yourself weak in one point, or at least for myself, I like, you delegate and you figure out how to make it work. You outsource, because if you do something that you're not really passionate about, it's going to show, you know. So, you know, if you're passionate about the science behind it, then stick to the science, and that can be your responsibility, and delegate someone else branding for you, etc.
Yeah.
Um, as far as new projects, I'm working on a couple different supplements. Um, you know, as mentioned before, like with COVID, I kind of like, obviously there's a big transition in the world, and I've been spending a lot of time in Montana, and I've been doing some real estate stuff. So I've been kind of focusing on that a little bit more for myself. I've been in this space for, gosh, 5, 6, 6, 7 years now. And, you know, I find myself, it was always my intention to kind of build this up and to want to sell it. And that's kind of still our intention. You know, the path that we had before COVID was pretty significant. It was going high, and, you know, we're just trying to figure it out. As far as new products in the CBD space, I'm not sure. We may think about doing non-CBD products. We're kind of having discussions here and there, and kind of where we want to go. And I've got a couple of the brands that I've created. Just, once you spend money on marketing and different things, you got to really figure out what's going to give you the best return on your investment, right? ROI. And I don't necessarily know what that is right now. So we're kind of just figuring out, we're kind of just in talks and just kind of like figuring it out.
And what are your thoughts on the psychedelic movement that's happening? Are you thinking about diving into that world at all?
Yeah, I mean, I that's one of the brands.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what that looks like, man. And
yeah.
I noticed recently there's a brand, I forgot the name, but they're already selling psilocybin products online. They just started taking that risk, and so
Yeah, it's such an interesting space, right? On one side, I think it's a little different than CBD because it impairs your everything.
yeah, it's a little more like I said the same thing the other day. You really have to be careful selling psilocybin because of that. It's much stronger than CBD, obviously, and but I feel like that industry is going to be as big as the cannabis industry. Like I microdose every day personally, or like 3-4 days a week, and it's really helped my brain just acuity and firing of thoughts and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's changed my life. I don't do it every day, but one of the other products is a nootropic. And it's utilizing different ingredients, and that's one of the things I'm really passionate about too, is the nootropic space, and mushrooms has a lot to do with that. So
Yeah, and it's crazy, dude. Like, I don't know if you've seen in Vancouver, Canada, they have mushroom dispensaries, and then they actually have one in Oakland, California now.
yeah, so Oakland's decriminalized, so it is what it is. It's a start. It's just a matter of like how hard and fast you push the envelope. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you just don't know. But I feel like where California stands right now, I mean, once again, if you're adding value, then go for it. But there are risks involved for sure.
For sure. I talked to a brand the other day, and they said they were going to launch in Oregon first, which kind of makes sense to me because of the legalities there. I guess is the most open in the states, at least, is Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm not too familiar with all the laws right now. I haven't been following that closely. I think kind of I'm figuring it out.
Gotcha. I'm excited to see what you do next in that space, man. And then any last words of wisdom that you want to leave? And one last thing, like I noticed you really have a great work-life balance. Like I see you out there, like I think you like ski and snowboard and you're out there hunting and shit like that and just really having fun with your friends. Like you're not always just grinding and working, which I don't subscribe to that, like 16 hours a day you got to be grinding and not have any fun. And like there is times when you start up a business you got to hustle and grind, but like the balance is important to me, and I really respect that in you because I see you have a great balance to your life.
Absolutely. And it's not just, the people that I hang out with are extremely successful. They run businesses. They're movers and shakers. They're doing stuff in their life. And it's like, yeah, we may be hunting, we may be going surfing or whatever it is, but I'm always talking about business and different ideas in life. And I think that's really important. Like I said before, I'm not really like, I'll sit behind my computer like 15, 20 minutes of time. I'll just get up and walk around in circles. I'm on the phone. I walk around in circles. It's hard for me to sit in this sound booth right now to even talk. So that's just who I am, and I think if you take that away from yourself, so it kind of constraints. I think it's not necessarily the quantity, but rather the quality. And for me, like having quality people in my life and being able to enjoy it and at the same time work is what I value, and that's just, I think a lot of people work to, growing up, I've never agreed with this. They worked their entire lives, they retired, all of a sudden, like they're 60, like, oh, let's go enjoy the world. I'm like, why? We're not guaranteed tomorrow. So I think it's a balance for sure. It's a balance, mentally, physically, everything's a balance in life.
Yeah, I find what works for me is like I read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Work Week, when it first came out, like a long time ago. And he talks about taking mini retirements when you're young so you can actually enjoy it. Like, so I've taken a couple like year and a half, like retirements. Like unfortunately, my best friend got murdered and my dad died in 2004. And I just took a mini retirement for 2 years. I moved to Seattle. I opened a record store and I was just smoking joints all day in front of the record store, listening to music, having fun, and sometimes you got to do that, and just.
Absolutely. I mean, if the relationship with yourself isn't good, then, you're not going to do anyone else any justice or good if that's the case. I feel like being balanced is really important. And believe me, I have my struggles. I struggle with a lot of different things, but I think, especially being able to rely on yourself as an entrepreneur. Like for myself, I wake up at 5:30, I go to the gym, I take a sauna, I take a cold shower. Like there's certain routines that I think it's important that you have as an entrepreneur that you can rely on yourself for, because there's so many damn inconsistencies in this world and in running a business, especially in the CBD space, that that relying on yourself and knowing that you can count on yourself with certain things on a daily basis is extremely important, whether it looks like that or reading or whatever it is. But taking that time and having that structure, I think, is really important.
I love that, man. And you mentioned saunas and cold showers. Are you into Wim Hof?
You know, I don't know, and I know who he is. I've had so many friends that have done it. I just haven't taken the time to actually study that. But you know, I do a lot of things that they do. I haven't studied it.
Nice. Yeah, I do the Wim Hof breathing, and I got a sauna in my place, and I tried doing cold showers, but I just can't do it, man. Cold baths are a lot easier than cold showers.
Yeah, no, it's good, but it's like, you know, I always try and push myself, like what dope I want to do. Okay, that's what I need to do. Like, dude, literally, that's what I asked myself. Like, I just did a Spartan race. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Just do it. And then, you know, once you declare it and do it, it's, you know, you start tackling these little things and you can get big, you know, start getting bigger and bigger and bigger and figuring out things that are more challenging outside your comfort zone. I think that's how you grow as a person. But it's not always easy, that's for sure.
Yeah, I got to toughen up. That's like, I'm moving to Austin, Texas in May. And
oh, nice.
and I told myself, I'm going to toughen up, man. I've been kind of soft the past few years here, and I just got to get tougher, man. Again, like I used to be so tough when I was young, and you know, I just got to get that back. And you know, it doesn't matter what age you are, people. Like I saw this guy the other day at the beach. He's 55 years old and he's breakdancing and doing like push-ups, like, you know, handstand push-ups and stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's, you know, that's the main thing, is surround yourself with people that inspire you, because then you're going to be in that same realm. Like, you know, hang out with those people, you become one of those people. So
I love it, man. That's some of the best advice, and you keep reiterating that in our talk today, is all about your network and getting out there, being around the right people. And it can be really lonely as an entrepreneur, so you have to force yourself to get out there and join these groups, people, because you could get stuck in your home office and then you're not talking to anybody. You're just doing Zoom calls all day and stuff like that. And I'm guilty of that sometimes, but I like to get out to events, and networking is my number one skill as well. Like that's where I've gotten to, you know, I've built this group, and you know, just being out there networking and meeting with people is key. And so I love that advice, man. And but yeah, I just can't wait to see what you're do next, Stefan. And
yeah.
and I'm sure you're going to have a big exit with Nanocraft when you guys are ready for that. And but you know, I'm always here to help you in any way I can. And we really appreciate you taking the time, because you've given a lot of great advice today. And you don't sugarcoat it. You've said you've had your struggles. Like this industry is not for the faint-hearted. I always say that.
No, not at all. But the lessons you learn are something that you can take with you forever. And I mean, it's a struggle. It's a fucking struggle. But you know, we still have it better than a lot of people, that's for sure. So
yeah. And you got an amazing office too. I've been to your offices. I love your spot, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I think, you know, this is one of the things that was part of our marketing strategy, to add credibility, like inviting athletes, creating a space where people wanted to come. And you know, I don't know how, you know, we tend to outsource a lot of things now, you know, since COVID. So we'll figure out how long we stay here. But yeah, this space is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, brother. And maybe we can catch up, you know, a few months down the line and see where you're at that point, because I think it's really inspiring just to see the progress of things.
Yeah, I would love to. Oh, you know, one thing I wanted to make a mention of, just to kind of like as industry news. So USC reached out to us, the director of of USC with partnerships, and they want to partner with they wanted to partner with us. Now it's a 6-figure deal, so we're still trying to figure it out, but it's pretty cool that USC, the entire organizations, they want to put us in the football stadium, in the basketball courts, on the freaking on the Cavs. It's pretty cool. It's one of the largest partnership opportunities we've had. But I just wanted to make a mention of that now that colleges are kind of like opening up to it. Now there's still some, you know, some restrictions, but it's pretty cool that happened.
I love that, dude. Congrats on that. That's massive. And also, like, I was telling a client that the other day, you could work with college athletes now as influencers, and you could pay them. You know, that's legal now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's an untapped thing. I think a lot of people don't even know that you could, you know, sponsor these athletes now, and some of them are really popular, of course.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, and so that's great advice there. And I didn't know that about the university. So I'm glad to see there's finally some stuff evolving.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's been here, it's going to stay here. It's like, okay, all right, might as well capitalize on it, you know.
Yeah, we're
But
not going anywhere, man. And it's the
yeah,
biggest mass flouting of the law I've ever seen in my 47 years. Like everybody was just like, fuck that. We're making CBD, man. Get the fuck out of here.
well, if you think about the actual business or the industry in general, it's so insignificant compared to the crime, but all the other weird shit that's going on. It's like, it's just, it's interesting out there, especially in California right now, for sure. LA especially.
Oh, LA is a mess, man. Like I was in LA recently. I got out of my car and there's a homeless guy with a trench coat. He's naked and he has a knife and he's screaming like 5 feet away from me. And I'm just like, oh, welcome to LA. I can't wait to get back to San Diego.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So it seems like CBD is so insignificant compared to some of the real issues that we have.
For sure, dude. But yeah, I love the way you run your brand from day one, man. It's in just to cap it up from my perspective, it's attention to detail, it's aesthetics and beautiful branding, and it's serving the community and serving the customers is why you guys are where you are. And it's just those are some things that everybody should really focus on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, dude, you guys are badass, man. And thanks again for spending the time with me, Stefan. I know you're a busy man and you got a lot going on.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Anytime.
Cool. And everybody, thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.
All right.
Peace.
Talk soon. Bye.
Thanks, man.